Southern Europe is burning, and the flames are claiming lives. At least 3 have been killed as record temperatures sparked wildfires across southern Europe, forcing thousands from their homes and pushing firefighters to their absolute limits.
She's inspecting the damage to her property after firefighters contained a major wildfire in northwestern Turkey.
The fire that was over there came here. When it arrived, we rushed to herd the sheep and goats. It turns out the goats escaped into the fire. Where are the goats? They are nowhere to be seen. I'm getting angry. I need to find them. If I burn, I burn. My property is gone.
From Greece's ancient olive groves to Spain's UNESCO World Heritage Sites, an unprecedented wave of destruction is sweeping across the continent. This isn't just another fire season, it's a crisis that has European authorities scrambling like never before. The scale of this emergency becomes clear when you look at the numbers. Temperatures have soared above 40 degrees Celsius across multiple countries, with Portugal deploying over 1,300 firefighters and receiving international assistance from as far as Morocco. Spain has reached an unbearable 44 degrees in southern regions, while dozens of fires burn across virtually every region of the country. This widespread impact isn't limited to the usual fire-prone areas. It's affecting Greece, Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, and the entire Balkans region simultaneously. In Greece, the situation is nothing short of desperate. In the Greek port city of Patras, firefighters struggled to protect homes and farms from flames that tore through pine forests and olive groves. Patras, Greece's third-largest city, has become ground zero for what officials are calling one of the most challenging fire seasons in recent memory. The scenes are apocalyptic: thick smoke billowing over residential neighborhoods, emergency vehicles racing through streets, and families fleeing with nothing but the clothes on their backs.
Speaking with Spain, an employee at an equestrian center in Tres Cantos near Madrid died while reportedly trying to save animals from the flames. Another firefighter was killed in Castile and Leon. In Montenegro, a soldier was killed and another is seriously injured when their water truck overturned while battling a blaze north of the capital, Podgorica. In southern Spain, nearly 2,000 people were evacuated near the coastal town of Tarifa. Officials say they saved a residential area at the very last second. In Castile and Leon, multiple fires are threatening the ancient Roman gold mines at Las Medulas, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Regional leaders have vowed to restore it once the fires are out. In neighboring Portugal,
the emotional toll on residents is devastating. In Greece alone, at least 25 settlements have been evacuated as raging flames approach. Locals describe the scene as nothing short of doomsday, watching helplessly as the inferno destroys their livelihoods. One resident, through tears, captured the collective fear. "What are we going to do if our house burns? I'm so sorry." These aren't just statistics. They're communities watching generations of history disappear in smoke. The human cost is mounting by the hour. At least 15 firefighters have been hospitalized or received medical attention for burns, smoke inhalation, or exhaustion. According to fire service spokesperson Vasilis Vathrakoyiannis, these are the heroes on the front lines, risking everything to protect communities, and they're paying the price. Today is another very difficult day, with the level of fire risk remaining very high across many parts of the country. Vathrakoyiannis warned, his words carrying the weight of a nation under siege. But here's where this story takes a shocking turn. Local media reported that 2 young men were arrested for arson late Wednesday evening on charges of setting the fire that first broke out on Tuesday in the Sahina district of Patras. 3 people have been arrested in connection with the fire, which authorities said may have been deliberately set. While nature provides the perfect storm conditions, human hands may have lit the match that started this catastrophe. The conditions fueling these fires are a perfect recipe for disaster. As one Greek civil protection official explained, the perilous combination of high temperatures, strong winds, and minimal humidity has created ideal conditions for fires to spread with frightening speed. It's like nature has loaded the gun, and any spark, whether from lightning, human negligence, or in this case, possible arson, can pull the trigger. Spain is facing its own hellscape. Nearly 6,000 residents of Fatalities have been forced to evacuate as flames threaten one of the country's most precious cultural treasures, a UNESCO World Heritage Roman mining site in Castile and Leon. 7 people have been hospitalized with severe burns, with 4 fighting for their lives in critical condition. In northwestern Spain, particularly in Galicia, thousands of hectares have already burned, forcing the military to join overwhelmed firefighters in containing the blazes. The evacuation of 8,000 people from their homes in the Castile and Leon region underscores the massive human displacement this crisis has caused. The personal stories emerging from these fires are heartbreaking. A Turkish woman who lost her farm described rushing to save her sheep and goats, only to have them escape into the fire. Her words echo the desperation felt across the region. If I burn, I burn. My property is gone. In Albania, an 80-year-old man died after losing control of a simple garden fire that rapidly spread to adjacent homes, injuring 8 people. It's a tragic reminder of how quickly these situations can spiral out of control.
Largest city. Raging flames in western Greece prompted the evacuation of at least 25 settlements as fires persisted throughout the country. People watched in despair and anger as inferno swallowed their livelihoods.
What does it look like? It looks like doomsday. We came from Athens with our volunteer association, Cleisthenes. We can't do anything more. May God help us and help the people here.
The Spanish tragedy deepened when an employee at an equestrian center near Madrid died trying to save animals from the approaching flames. A firefighter was killed in Castile and Leon, and a Montenegrin soldier died when their water truck overturned while battling blazes. These aren't just casualties, they're heroes who gave their lives trying to protect others. Spanish officials reported they saved a residential area near Tarifa at the very last second, evacuating nearly 2,000 people as flames approached. The images coming out of Spain are devastating, ancient La. Landscapes that have stood for millennia now consumed by walls of fire.
It's not that climate change is igniting fires. Climate change is just making the environment ready, very burnable. And not only in the Mediterranean. I mean, we see now fires occurring in places that have historically never seen or never had a big fire problem. So we know that under the right weather conditions, we will have wildfires. It's not like a maybe. So it's not a question if there will be a fire. The only question is when and how. So, and what I find remarkable is we know this, and yet in most cases we just sit and wait for disaster to happen.
The Spanish government isn't taking any chances. Interior Minister Fernando Grande Marlaska made an urgent plea to the European Union, requesting immediate assistance, including 2 waterbombing aircraft. Nearly 1,000 Spanish troops have been deployed to combat the fires, working alongside international crews in a desperate race against time. This isn't just about national pride, it's about survival. The European Union's Civil Protection Agency said it responded to requests for assistance this week from Greece, Spain, Bulgaria, Montenegro, and Albania, sending firefighting planes and helicopters from other member states. The agency said it had already activated assistance 16 times amid this summer's wildfires as European countries have been hit by a high number of catastrophic wildfires. The number of activations for 2025 already matches the total for wildfires during the entire 2024 fire season. Think about that for a moment. We're only in August, and 2025 has already matched the entire previous year's wildfire emergency responses. Portugal, Spain's neighbor, is mobilizing everything it has. More than 2,100 firefighters and 20 aircraft are battling 5 large blazes simultaneously, with particular focus on a fire in central Trancoso that has been burning since Saturday. The images from Portugal tell the story of a nation united in crisis, residents joining firefighters beneath thick smoke clouds, working side by side with whatever tools they can find. One farmer, speaking through a protective mask while holding a simple spade, captured the spirit perfectly. It's Scar. But we are always ready to help each other. The Balkans aren't being spared either. Dozens of fires have overwhelmed emergency services across the region, with drought and a prolonged heat wave turning what should be a manageable fire season into a regional catastrophe. Albanian authorities have been forced to evacuate residents in central and southern regions, while Montenegro has seen some improvement in weather conditions that has helped firefighters protect homes. But the reprieve may be temporary, as meteorologists warn that the conditions that created this crisis, extreme heat, drought, and strong winds, are far from over. Perhaps most surprising of all, even Britain, known for its cool, wet climate, is facing wildfire risks during its fourth summer heat wave. Authorities have declared a major incident at North York Moors National Park, where approximately 5 square kilometers of land have burned. When even the typically damp British countryside is catching fire, you know we're dealing with something extraordinary. The environmental impact extends far beyond the immediate destruction. EU climate monitors report that smoke and greenhouse gas emissions from these fires are among the highest ever recorded for this time of year. These fires are consuming not just homes and businesses, but entire ecosystems that have taken decades or centuries to develop. Ancient olive groves in Greece, pine forests that have stood for generations, and biodiversity that can never be fully replaced. The smoke and ash are affecting air quality across vast regions, creating health hazards for millions of people who aren't even directly in the fire zones. Climate scientists are drawing a direct line between these disasters and our changing climate. As one expert explained, while climate change doesn't directly ignite fires, it creates conditions that make the environment very burnable. They note that fires are now occurring in places that historically haven't had fire problems. The expert's conclusion is sobering. Wildfires are inevitable under certain weather conditions. It's not a question of if, but when and how. They also observe society's tendency to wait for disasters rather than prepare for them, a pattern we're seeing play out tragically across Europe. What makes this situation particularly alarming is the timing and intensity. Much of southern Europe remains at high risk under hot, dry conditions. We're still in the peak fire season, with weeks of dangerous conditions potentially ahead. French climate experts are already preparing for a 4-degree temperature rise by 2100, warning that heat waves will be 10 times more frequent by the end of the century. Europe is heating far faster than the rest of the world, with 2025 predicted to be among the warmest years on record. The fact that European emergency response systems are already stretched to their limits this early suggests we could be looking at a summer that redefines our understanding of wildfire risk in Europe. It may be the new normal for a continent facing unprecedented climate challenges.
Extreme heat is continuing to fuel wildfires across the south and west of Europe. Thousands of people have been forced from their homes as temperatures have risen above 40 degrees Celsius. Red heat alerts have been issued in parts of Greece, Italy, France, Spain, Portugal and the Balkans, carrying a warning of significant risk to health. In Portugal, firefighters have been battling 3 large wildfires, with the most serious near Troncoso in the centre of the country. More than 1,300 firefighters and 14 aircraft were deployed, with Morocco sending 2 planes after Portuguese water bombers broke down. Authorities warn southern regions could hit 44 degrees Celsius, with the temperature not expected to dip below 25. Our correspondent Guy Hedgecoe is in Madrid and he gave us the latest on the situation in Spain.
The international response has been swift and unprecedented. Countries are sharing resources, expertise, and personnel in ways that demonstrate the truly transnational nature of this crisis. Water-bombing aircraft from multiple nations are working side by side. Firefighting teams are crossing borders to help their neighbors. It's European cooperation at its most essential and urgent level. But even with all this international assistance, the fundamental challenge remains. You can't fight nature with just manpower and equipment when the conditions are this extreme. The combination of record-breaking temperatures, prolonged drought, and strong winds creates fire behavior that even the most experienced firefighters struggle to predict or control. Fires that would normally be contained quickly are exploding across landscapes with unprecedented speed and intensity. The economic impact is already staggering and will continue to grow. Tourism, agriculture, infrastructure, entire regional economies are being disrupted. Spain's request for EU assistance isn't just about fighting fires, it's about preventing economic catastrophe in regions that depend on summer tourism and agriculture, all production. When UNESCO World Heritage Sites are under threat, when entire cities like Patras are surrounded by flames, the economic implications extend far beyond the immediate fire zones. Looking ahead, this crisis raises fundamental questions about Europe's preparedness for climate-related emergencies. The fact that 2025's wildfire emergency responses have already matched all of 2024 suggests this isn't an anomaly. European leaders are going to have to confront some uncomfortable truths about infrastructure, emergency preparedness, and long-term climate adaptation. The heroism of the firefighters and emergency responders cannot be overstated. These men and women are literally running toward danger that most people are fleeing from. With 15 firefighters already hospitalized in Greece alone, they're paying a physical price for their dedication. Every water drop, every fire break, every rescued family represents someone risking their life for others. As this crisis continues to unfold, one thing is clear. Southern Europe is facing a test of resilience unlike anything in recent memory. The flames may eventually be extinguished, but the lessons from this summer will reshape how the continent prepares for future fire seasons. The question isn't whether Europe will recover from this crisis. It's whether Europe will learn from it and build the kind of preparedness systems needed for what climate scientists warn could become increasingly common extreme weather events. The next few days and weeks will be critical. Weather forecasts suggest conditions may deteriorate further before they improve. More evacuations may be necessary. More international assistance will certainly be required. And unfortunately, the death toll may continue to rise. But if there's one thing this crisis has demonstrated, it's the incredible capacity of European communities to come together in the face of disaster. From the farmer with his spade to the international firefighting crews, from local volunteers to EU emergency coordinators, the response to this crisis shows Europe at both its most vulnerable and its most resilient. This is a story that's still being written, with new chapters of both tragedy and heroism emerging every day. The flames may be consuming the landscape, but they're also revealing the unbreakable spirit of the communities fighting back against them.